Yie Ar Kung-Fu. Any cheats? Yie Ar Kung-Fu is by the way, I played this earlier, and the recording didn't go particularly well, and but I did get a really super good score. There's no way I'll beat that score. Yeah. But Yie Ar Kung-Fu was, of course, an arcade game, and then it got ported to the Commodore 64. I'm not sure. I haven't really done all the research yet. I don't know what other systems it was released on, but I like to talk about the trifecta of my early teenage years, which was breakdancing, ninjas, and then skateboarding. So that was kind of like three eras that happened back to back that really kind of made me who I am, who I was, who I am. And this game fell right in the middle of that. This is a 1984, I think, arcade game, and then 95 port to the Commodore 64. You can see the just notice this. I think the guy is cross-eyed when I look at it. Is he? It's kind of a cross-eyed. Wait, let me look at this. Hold on, boat. Wait till you see this. Oh, look at that. That's magic. This is great software. He is kind of cross-eyed looking guy there. There's the cover to the cassette. In the United States and the U.S. here, nobody used cassettes. When I say nobody, I mean I'm sure there was some guy somewhere, but I didn't know a single person that had a cassette drive for their Commodore 64 for more than about a week. I had one for a very, very short amount of time, and it was kind of like this is what you would get until you could afford a disk drive the next month or something like that, you know. And that's about how long I had one. I had a couple of cassettes that had ED software on there. The only option, as you see here when I get ready to start the game, is one player, two player, and two player is just alternating back and forth. It's not versus fighting each other. So you get 10,000 points if you can do a perfect victory, which is like a flawless victory, I guess, in Mortal Kombat, where you don't get hit at all, and you get bonuses every bonus min every 20,000 points, which when you get to about level 4, you'll see why you want to have bonus min. So there are 2 locations in this game. The first 5 fights take place in front of this waterfall, and then the other ones take place, I think it's like a pagoda. Look. Oh, look! There's a perfect one right there. So I've almost got my first extra man. Every enemy, and most every enemy, I think there's a couple of exceptions, but most of the enemies are named after the weapon that they are proficient in. So this is Star. There's another lady in the second wave named Fan. Throws fans at you. She's not your biggest fan. That'd be funny. By the way, I tell lots of jokes. I'm like a dad joke guy, and mostly they just make me laugh. I don't think they make anybody else laugh, but that would be funny if you came up to an enemy and they just chase you around trying to get an autograph. They're like, I'm a fan! I'm a fan! But no, that's not the case. And she just literally kills you, smothers you with decorative fans. But decorative deadly. There's also my nickname in high school. Rob O'Hara. Decorative. Deadly. I don't know why I'm having such trouble with level 2 here. This doesn't bode well for a good I did earlier. There's a couple of different ways to cheat at this game, and this is one. It didn't work. I was dead here, but a lot of people you'll see them play this game and just do this. You can see a lot of YouTube videos like this where people just do this move over and over. You can just kind of go around, oh, that little sound meant I got my extra man. Yeah, see, it was almost a perfect thing. The other, that one doesn't work as well in the arcade. This one does work. Is basically just leaping like that, and then if you can pin an opponent in the corner and take them out. That doesn't work with every. I'm just so happened that I was doing it at that time. It doesn't work with every. It doesn't work with Pole. I can tell you that Pole is probably, even though he's only level 4, is probably the hardest opponent in the game because, as you will probably see here very shortly, if I fail to do what I want to do, is he can just pin you down and like not let you up. Like he will just hit you 10 times in a row and kill you instantly, like that. So the other technique, and this is the technique that you use in the arcade as well, and maybe that's a sign of a good port, you know, is that when things that work in the arcade version work on the home version as well, but is to just kind of too soon. But if you can keep leaping around like this, and then if you land within striking distance, and you can hit him before he hits you, and then the stick and move. The old Kung-Fu stick and move technique. I don't know if they teach that one in Kung-Fu schools today. Also, if you can, that lower leg attack, if you can kind of get on top of them, you can get in several of them before they can get away. The joystick is not the easiest one in the world to do diagonal in for some reason. Also, it's nice and loud. I bet it's nice and loud on this podcast. That was probably not the best thought of mine. So all these times when I'm jumping straight up, I'm really meaning to jump diagonally. That I meant to jump diagonally. And try to land where I could get in 1 or 2 shots and then get away. Like that. Oh! I wonder if he was named Pole before he learned how to use a pole. Like he showed up to Kung Fu class and they were like, "What's your name?" "Oh, it's Pole." "Oh boy, we got a weapon for you." "What's your name?" "My name's Chain." "Oh, I want to use the pole." Delicious. Golly, if I could get that jump down, I'll show you how chain works, but instead, pole is going to hit me 9 times in the foot repeatedly and kill me instantly. So, that is the frustration. That is, Yie Ar Kung-Fu, is that it's not it's a fun game, and it has good graphics, it has good sound, but as far as fighting games go, it's not very fair, I'd say. A lot of things I can say about this game that I'm not going to say. Those of you that are unfamiliar with my podcasts or my different things that I do, I try to keep Sprite Castle and You Don't Know Flack PG at most, if not G-rated. It's not because I don't use swear words. In fact, I was recording earlier and just realized that the audio wasn't working, and I said plenty of F-bombs. But what I've found, in fact, and it was recently, what I was recently reminded of is that I get a lot of younger listeners. I get a lot of 2-generation listeners, adults that are my age that are playing these games and this podcast for their kids as well. And so, based off of that, I try to keep these family friendly. I had a listener a long time ago, Scott Meredith, who drove a airport shuttle and told me he played these shows while he was driving the airport shuttle around, which I thought was really cool. And I always imagine the confused passengers that were listening to while they were on their way to pick up their luggage and having to listen to some guy talk about Commodore games. I mean, for me, that would be great. I would love for that to happen. It doesn't seem to happen to me, but you know what I don't think I've talked about in this game is the font, which is a strange thing to, and I need to. I'm probably going to go back and listen to this or rewatch this while I'm as notes when I'm working on the podcast tomorrow, because I think the font. This is the first time I remember seeing this font on the Commodore, and years later, like in demos and stuff, you see this font everywhere. Like you could extract a font out of a program and use it in other places, and I think this font got used quite a bit. I don't know if it was just called the Yie Ar Kung-Fu font or what, but I like, you know, one thing about the Commodore is that, and when I say the Commodore, I'm talking about the 64. I know that there's rumors that there's a 16-bit Commodore, but this is really the Commodore. That it had the ability to do little extra things like that little waterfall that's in the background. That's kind of a nice little touch. Like, they didn't have to do that, you know, but I'm going to try my technique here. Sensei, what should I do if I see a guy with nunchucks? I just start throwing flying kicks. Hopefully, you won't bash your brains in with his nunchucks. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Here's a off the head story. We have a Asian market, which I had never been to before, earlier in the past year or so. We discovered it, maybe a couple of years. And I really went there because I heard that they had an amazing selection of, I'm just going to call them ramen noodles. Obviously, they're not all ramen brand. They're all different kinds of brands and stuff. Oh, I hate you. And I was walking down the tea aisle and I saw oolong tea, and I thought that was so funny because I had no idea that I don't know if this guy's name is Oolong because of the tea or if that has that name has some significance. But I almost bought some just because Oolong here. This was definitely a favorite of mine in the arcades. Like I said, I was you know, not a favorite of mine in the arcades or anywhere else. You know, I was a big fan of ninja movies. Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja 3 Domination. I watched a whole bunch of afternoon UHF Kung Fu and karate movies and chopsaki movies, I think they call them. Just, you know, just really bad Kung Fu movies. Kung Fu Theater, I think is what it was called on UHF. I watched Kung Fu Theater. And, oh, take that, pole. And I got an extra man, which I'm probably going to need very shortly here. So yeah, I would do all that, and so I was a big fan of that, and so anytime that I could go to an arcade and get my butt kicked by a large guy with a chain. You know, I liked Shinobi, I liked, that was later, I liked Kung Fu Master, I liked, huge fan of Karate Champ. I owned a, if you're not familiar with my other arcade podcasts and habit, I've owned close to 100 arcade games over the years. The most I had at one time was 30 in a little backyard arcade. So I've owned multiple Shinobi cabinets. I owned a Karate Champ cabinet. I never owned a Yie Ar Kung-Fu. I would have liked to. This is a really fun game. I always enjoyed it. I think that I would almost say that the arcade game is easier. It's at least they're very close in difficulty. So, hey, I think I'm gonna wrap up this video. I think this went as a good first test of the recording. So, again, if you're subscribed to the Amigos Master RSS feed that gets all the shows, you're going to see Sprite Castle show up later this week in your feed, and I look forward to hanging out with you guys. If you're on, if you support the Amigos already on Patreon, or if you are one of my supporters on Patreon, you'll also get access to the Amigos Discord server, and there's a Sprite Castle channel set up now. So if you want to come chat with me, there's several hundred users on there, and everybody on there is super friendly, and there's all kinds of conversations about retro gaming and different systems, and a lot of cool stuff going on there, and a lot of cool people. So if you're one of the Patreon supporters of either the Amigos or my show, then you get access to all that. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in for this first video. I'm still working out the kinks a little bit, but hopefully this will get better as time goes on, and looking forward to doing more of these. Thanks.